All right, bear with me, everyone. We're getting set up. There's the Facebook link in the chat, and let's see. Here we are live, and I'll begin with hi, everyone. This is a global public inquiry interview collaboration into the staged abduction of children by government incentivized organizations, and of course, more. And with this, what I wish to say, we've been several months. Just let me get back here to where I'm at. There we are. We've been several months where we have not been on here, and part of the strategy with this long-term strategy that's been going on for about a year now is that it is a lengthy procedure at handcuffing the entire system. So, having said that, we are very meticulous with it. And just to refresh, last year we had placed the lawful commercial liens, and which are again very important, that was placed against the Republic of Austria Child Services and the Republic of Austria's insurance agents for its civil insurers. But also, as we proceed forward, as it's looking like we will need to, is we also may need to place subsequent liens against their civil insurers, underwriters. And this is where it takes it more into Europe with the big banks as well. And as we proceeded forward, part of the lull in the waiting period was we were waiting for the Republic of Austria to release its year-end financials, where these are lawful commercial liens that are recognized in the higher finance and commercial markets of the way that things are supposed to function. These are extensive liens for, I believe, 1 trillion to the Republic of Austria placed on it. I believe it was 1.5 trillion euros placed on their insurance providers of their civil insurance because of liability negligence by the actors that their civil insurance covers. And also, we have recently placed, I believe, Sister Nya, was this a 1 trillion or was it more on the BH, the child services itself, on all of its material possessions as well? We put a seizure notice to that effect. What was that monetary amount, if you recall?
I have to be honest, I don't recall it, but everything is available and published, on the website where everyone can look at it.
Yeah, on our
So
public law website that is connected to divinegpms.world. It's all inclusive. Nevertheless, having said this, we are currently preparing notices of default, which are very important lawful notices against the Republic of Austria that needs to be addressed at least at the European Commission level as well. And so, as you see, we are going out of the confines of Austria and including the other obligatory and responsible actors of which they are a part of, which includes the countries of the European Union. So, what you're seeing with this, without going through a full strategy, is that there is no escape, that even though there is the ignorance, the non-compliance with what we have done so far, and the ignoring and not acknowledging these instruments are fully founded and based on true law, and lawfully they cannot ignore them. So subsequently, whenever that is, there is justice that is served, and it's a very extensive legal jeopardy for all of those involved in the judicial system and government of Austria. However, not only there, these lawful instruments have been shared worldwide as well with the International Court of Justice, the World Court, and law firms and many other nations. So this is not an ad hoc thrown together little thing. This is fully lawful, substantiated, lawfully substantiated and organized with a definite strategy that leaves no loopholes. And this is also part of the reason that it's taken so long. So, with that, though, what we have tonight is Brother Rangy Latif from the UK, which has been also experiencing the same sort of things that we have incurred with the Republic of Austria and child services. And he's been doing an amazing job at gathering mums and dads and ones to stand up, I believe, in the UK, perhaps Ireland, Scotland, and not only there, it's my understanding also over Europe that Brother Rangi has begun here, and this is a very important coming together at this time with the unity. So, without further saying anything, Brother Rangi, thank you so much for joining us, and may you tell us a bit about yourself and the events of what led up to what you're currently doing. Thank you.
Firstly, thank you very much, Rick, for having me here. I really appreciate this. Thank you very so much. So, my story, or the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, it actually started in 2014, where the first time I had social workers who intervened in my home affair. And what I found, or what I was expecting them, is to get involved and ask some questions, learn about why they got involved, so I could help and support them in the issues and problems in my family dynamics. However, they didn't bother listening to me. They didn't want to know me or my children. And within a month and a half, they ended up making a document called a Section 7 report. It was very concerning how they made it if you haven't spoken to me. But one of the things that came out immediately, that they changed my history. So I'm going to explain very simply what was my history. In 2010, I broke silence alongside, over the number of months, three other siblings. So four of us siblings had broken silence against family members who were raping us as we were children. And like I say, in 2014, by that point, I was still getting help and support through the help and support with the police, with counseling, learning more about this and helping me in understanding this and to expose everything that I experienced. And in this document, what they changed was my history to do with child sexual abuse. And they changed me from a victim of child sexual abuse into a perpetrator of domestic violence. This was overwhelming for me. I was quite taken back. And I'm going to keep it in a nutshell because I made a video of from that point on until I broke silence. But what I found was the more I would try to tell them that I wasn't a victim of domestic violence, they would continuously, the next month, they would manufacture another document, another concern, another crime against me, just to cover up the failings of the first documentation. Now, this continued in such a way that my children had come to a point where they were ringing 999, 101, Childline, NSPCC, reaching out to councillors, MPs, mayors, but no one come to their aid. everybody was telling my children who were going through this abuse also that they had to follow their dad's complaint procedure. So they would go to the police station to report their own abuse. The police would push them back and say, you've got to go through a complaint procedure. This was a massive red flag for myself, that wearing a 999, talking to the police, giving them the evidence, and they tell us go through a complaint procedure, purely because social services were involved. Somewhere across the line, in a very simple nutshell, my children were so desperate to release what they were going through in the hands of the perpetrators as well as the social services. They ended up getting their phone device. Every time they were nervous, they would just press the button record, only so they could then show that evidence to the social services that this is what's really happening behind the scenes, that they're telling them that they're ignoring them. So once a social worker understood this, because they kept changing the social workers again and again, once they came into 2015, it ended up going into child protection. They made another document and making false allegations. However, any social worker who realized and actually had a look at the information that we had, or the children had, they were immediately sacked, removed, sent on the sick, to keep up the narrative of the social workers previously, just to keep my children within their system so they could do what they want. Now, the reason why this is so important, because on these recordings, crimes were taking place on my children in front of the perpetrators, while the social worker was sat in the very same room discussing the crimes happening, allowing the crimes happening, but then they were reporting it was taking place in my home 25 miles away. So I went through a complaint procedure by 2018 because, you know, there's this, you have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and then the ombudsman. Well, the ombudsman, after me presenting first 5% of the information, he's seen exactly what I'm explaining now. He's seen the evidence that this is unbelievable. And what the social workers did, or the local council did, they told the ombudsman that the judges are to blame for this. So they shifted the blame from themselves onto the judges. Now, I know I can't blame the judges. So I'm going to give you the ombudsman, my complaint, just so we're clear about it. So there was 14 points. One was prejudging the situation as a whole, bias towards the children's mother. Number 3, ignoring concerns I have raised by ongoing preconceived ideas about my situation. Number 4, false accusations about me. Number 5, providing false information to the court and other professionals. Number 6, withholding information from the courts and professionals. 7, unethical and unprofessional and unethical approach by social services, jeopardizing sibling contact, lack of culture awareness. Number 10, failing to listen to my elder 2 children. Number 11, invading my daughter's privacy by demanding to examine her iPad and stealing it. Failing to follow Middlesbrough Borough Council complaint procedure. Number 13, failing to listen to doctors from CAMS who work with children to the concerns they put forward. And 14, having 13 social workers in 2.5 years. So this was in their complaint, that they were withholding information from the courts, they were providing false information. So they shifted the blame to, obviously, the judges. So in 2018, I knew this was a lot worse than what I expected. Every professional, my counselors who were counseling me in 2010, 11, 12, 13, throughout the whole course of it, the whole system, everybody was following this complaint procedure, thinking that's going to come to an end and they're going to get the evidence that this is not true, how they did it. In 2018, I was still overwhelmed, so I started to travel just on my case across the country, all the way to Scotland, other cities, to go independently to different police stations to tell them what's going on and show them the evidence. Every place I went to, they said, this is illegal, this is a criminal activity, this needs to go to a public inquiry. But as soon as they communicated with my district, which was Cleveland, northeast of England in the UK, they would tell them to back off and back down. So they would then have to drop it. Yet they wouldn't do nothing about it. This continued till 2019, where I actually found the same detective who was involved in 2010 on my child sexual abuse and my siblings. I told her everything with evidence, with what was going on. And what I found was she just went pale in my living room, nearly passed out, left my house, and I've never seen it again. And it was that point that I knew that this is all a fraudulent scam where these crimes are taking place and continue to take place, I want you to know, through the district. Go on, Rick.
Yes, brother. So we're at 2019. I wish for you to continue, but I just wish to make a few points. Your points to the ombudsman, if you will, many of those are identical in Sister Nya's case. And, when you began, you didn't realize that it was the tip of an inverted pyramid right from the top. And then it become obvious, that it's not incompetence, it's intentional what they're doing. And again, it's about money and about the current system that provides the great incentive for these to do it. However, there are darker sides of it as well, but it's all intentional, as you're showing. And yes, many parallels with Sister Nya's case and what we were doing. I believe at our last count, we had perhaps 150 violations of rights and broken laws, which is extensive, and they intentionally, purposely ignored them all. But please continue with your story where the private investigator almost fainted. I believe that's where you ended off, if you may. Thank you.
That was the CID officer who was actually involved in 2010, who knew my past, who knew she was the person who actually sent me to the for counselling to begin with, which was the help and support, which I didn't really need it. But because you just tapped onto the complaint procedure, it actually started something very simple. And the first complaint went in 2014, the first week they involved, which was that they're not listening to me or my children. And because they kept ignoring it, it just escalated more and more to stage 3. So I'm just going to go to 2019 now. So this woman literally virtually passed out in my living room. She left the home and I've never seen her again. Okay. However, back in 2019, I decided to go public because I wasn't willing to suffer in silence, because nobody at this point now had even taken my reports of child sexual abuse. These predators continued, and the links within them continued to rape children, which came out in 2016 and 17. But I didn't know what to do. However, I went public. I made my first video, which was in the back alley. It was desperate. There was no aid. There was no help and support coming in. But when I made this video, what I realized, I had 99% of victims reach out to me because I was breaking silence. Now, I understood how they felt because I went through that dark, horrible time. That if you don't manage it properly, if you don't get the right help and support, you could even take your life. Your children being abused, mistreated, and it's a nightmare. So I decided to make another video a month or so after. I had the same result on that it was just horrific, over 99%. And the 1% that was supporting was just verbally. They weren't coming forward with action. They weren't coming to see me. They were just saying, I'm sorry we went through this. So then I knew I was up for a fight. This was in another level altogether. So I made my third video I made, which is on LCS News website. It's under banned on YouTube in UK, which is what I'm briefly telling you about my past. The only difference on that, I had to sugarcoat it. So the first document, I say they changed my past, and I give you an example on it because I couldn't afford to fight the pedophiles, the grooming issue, and the authorities simultaneously. So I needed to deal with one at a time. So I released that video, which has been my protection till today, even though right now they're trying to put a gagging order to me to take that video down. But put that aside. So I made that video, and that's when I come up with LCS News, because I'd already been to BBC News, ITV News, Channel 4. Nobody, everybody would call me in, I'd show them the evidence, and then they'd go on the sick. So it come to a point, every professional, MPs, councillors, mayors, chief commissioners of police in every town and city, anybody who I'd meet, they'd be happy to meet, but once I show them the evidence, they would be sacked, removed, or sent on the sick. 100%. And it'd be like, well, where do I go if everybody's resigning, everybody's leaving, everybody's fleeing? So then I decided I got a van, I got it stickered up, not with these stickers, it was small stickers, just saying Middlesbrough Social Services and abbreviating what's actually written on here. And I started to travel outside of Cleveland because I wanted to get some help. While I was going out to other towns and cities, every town and city when I got there, I find everything that I'm talking about, it's happening in that town and city. And I continued the next town, the next town, the next town, the next town. And sometimes I'd be on the road for 30 days. I'd never go back home for 30 days, sleep in the vehicle, go one after another. And it was unbelievable, my findings, where victims of child sexual abuse, physical, emotional, grandmothers, in every town and city, virtually grandmothers are suffering, mothers are suffering, daughters are suffering, wives are suffering, and males. They just don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They can't hide. It was just too much. So I just took it on myself to think, okay, well, they don't have a voice. We will give them a voice. So then another issue happened in 2022 back end where the local council went for a gagging order to keep me silent about my rape, or they would give me a prison sentence. I mean, go figure that one, yeah, but this is how it was. So I thought to myself, okay, well, they didn't get away with that. They took me to court, and in the court, while they were entrapping me, because they work a different language, if people are not sure, in the court, they speak a different language. It sounds like English, but it's actually known as gibberish. Okay? People need to learn about this. However, I got through that court case. They had me on a gagging order for 3 months because I then provided them some evidence. They failed, and it was back to square one. Now I'm actually going to go back to court again. However, in 2023, it was all open. I could freely go and do what I want. In 2020, Rick, you want to ask me something before I go to 2024?
Yes, thank you, brother. So, this is back in 2022. You discovered the huge extents of this, what was going on, and it being a criminal ring, if you will, and that's what it is. And these are my words, and I can say whatever and use whatever words I wish online because that is what it is. There is no other word to describe it, what you uncovered. And with their court process, it's also designed to financially burden, dissuade, and lengthen things out. It's not designed for justice or compassion or care of the children or the ones involved, as you have found. It's totally the opposite. It is a criminal construct, is what I call it. And believe me, I say this truthfully and fully, because of with Sister Nya's case, and lawfully doing all the right things to get her children back. It become obvious when they're ignoring the law that it is a criminal ring as well in Austria. And we've said this publicly before, and we do continue. So 2022, 4 years ago, so just recapping, you began to find that you weren't alone, that there were many, many victims, and you started bringing everyone together as much as you could. And with your website, LCS News, which is a very important as a movement. But what I love as well is you are taking action. You know what the system is, that it's an evil, sinister, criminal system. And the only thing to do, you cannot get justice in the system. So the only other alternative is to gather the people and, let's say, replace the system. And that's what we're doing with divinegpms.world. But before we get the system replaced, it's bringing all of the truth and the story out to inform the public, for the simple reason the people need to know what's going on, and the people themselves in every country needs to make a choice. Are they going to support governments that are acting criminally? Because if any person, any people, any soul does, then they're actually become an accomplice to the crimes of that government. So they need to make a decision when there is the other option that is now available, and that is the universal nation of divinegpms.world, but also what is within law, that when you have a corrupt government, no matter where it is, the obligation, the moral obligation sits with the people itself, for the simple reason a government would not exist if the people did not support it. So, in every country, democratic country at least, you have a voting process. So, the people voted these representatives in. This means the people are responsible for their actions. And when it begins to involve harming children and families to the sinister extents we're seeing, it becomes the moral obligation of every citizen worldwide to stand up and end the government regimes that's killing many children and harming children and destroying families. So you're around 2023, I think, brother. But just
Yeah.
before we move on, Sister Nya, do you have anything to say yet?
Or maybe just shortly, you did an amazing job, and you have such, you have my utmost, respect for everything you went through, and thank you so much for everything you're doing. And what I also, while I was listening to you, I also went through many cases, and there's so many similar things, especially when it goes into harm of the children. I also have spoken, with ones that are also fighting it, for years. And I also came across a lot about reports, at the federal agent, which shows, about sexual abuse of children and all those kind of things, and they are all involved to it. And it comes up, like in a cycle, right? And nothing happens, So, you are so powerful, and I just cannot find the right word right now, but thank you so much, and please continue.
Thank you very much, sister, for your words. I mean, I'm trying to keep it layman as possible. I mean, I could be also telling you what I've gone through from 2010 to 13. I got petrol bombed at my home address. I had members of the community coming to threaten me and asking me to get my siblings to drop charges. What will it take? And now everything I'm telling you, the police know about it. They have the evidence of it. I was made to eat a piece of cake with glass in it by a family member because everybody wanted to keep me quiet. Since then, I've been run over. I've had my windows put through several times. I've had my finger bit off, my head smashed open with a hammer. This is continuation. But you know, I have to keep getting back up. The last 24 months, I'll actually come to the last 24 months as soon as I get to 24. But you know, these are what has already happened. This is all caught on recording. I've not been able to report any crime since 2014, since the involvement of social services. Because any crime, all of them now links towards social services orchestrating this, because that's the only issue. So I'm just going to go straight to 2023. So we finished the court case and done with. It was a few months later, but I left it to 2014. It was in February where the first time I went public live. Before that, I was just putting videos and messages out. And I was literally picking messages up at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I'd stop picking them up till 4 o'clock a.m. the next morning, 7 days a week. And it was overwhelming. So I decided to go live. I thought if I go live, if one person asked me a question, I'd give it to another 100 people so they could all drip feed each other. See, it's easier for them. And what I realized, it was good for the public because they felt now that somebody is fighting back as well. They weren't isolated. They weren't in a corner. So I'd started staying, doing my lives, as well as I'd go in my vehicle, traveling the country, doing what I need to do. I did a tour at that point of 38 days or so, traveled Wales, the whole of UK and Wales. And everywhere, literally I went, by the time I even went to another day, I'd have another 100 people say, this is happening to me. This is happening to me. My child's missing. It's been stolen. My child's been raped. And it's still with the perpetrator. I was like, oh my gosh, what do you do? And it's hard to get the right help, to be perfectly honest. But I just kept moving forward. I learned a long time ago with my own experience, when my children were going through this, I had to learn to get back up because nobody's going to pick you up. But I realized there's a lot of people, when you're vulnerable, you don't see that and you can do damage to yourself. And that's the reason why I start reaching out to every single person. I do know last year, 2025, I went to Ireland. I went to Ireland for 7 days. Just with the work I did in 7 days, we woke up 180,000 people, because people in Ireland didn't know what was going on. Everybody, the social workers had been telling everybody, you can't tell nobody, you can't speak to anybody, you can't tell your family members. So everybody was going through it in every town and city, thought they were isolated, until I turned up, because I went outside their departments with this billboard and made a video that here I am. Anybody's got any questions, feel free to come forward, including the social services, the police, the judges, any safeguarding, anybody. And then it's exploded in Ireland now. Everybody is aware of it. Obviously, there's a lot of help, that is support that is needed. And then coming into now this year, my gosh, I'm not going to stop. There's no way. I mean, they take me back to court trying to silence me. I don't understand. I personally think these people don't understand English. If you read on here, it says breaking silence. So when you break silence, number one, there's no manual to that. Okay? But what I did is I made sure I did my safeguarding and child protection, and I just moved forward. I didn't pay attention whether it was a pedophile, a grooming, or corruption. For me, it's all the same. You see? I mean, we think that these things are separate, but they're not. Because like now I'm speaking of social workers, with these sexual assaults take place, social services, then cover it up. Who they covering up for? The pedophiles behind. You see, so what's actually happened is the perpetrators are left to prey on the rest of the nation. And I do have evidence that many of these predators are linked with your local police officers, or your local councillors, your local MPs, and your local mayors. And this is where they were at. And until I found Rick, there was a sister, Maxine, used to come on, and she kept saying to me, I want to chat with you. There's another group I want you to join. And I'm always up for anything because at the end of the day, this is not a one-man band show. Okay. We need to move forward and we need to fight it collectively. And this quick tiny little point of Europe now, it was last October, September, October. I didn't tell anybody for my own safety. And I traveled into Europe on road. And I traveled from France, every country, all the way to Russia, and then all the way back through other countries back. 14 countries in 7 days. I was in a different country in the day and a different country on the night. And I was meeting people, speaking to people, letting them know I was there. And now we got everybody in Europe saying, what's going on here? Now I'm actually planning to get a vehicle sorted with the advertising, what I need to do as a journalist for LCS News, and I'm coming to Europe to every town and city, but I'll be on a tour for at least 3 months because we need to bring everybody together. And since then, like I said, I spoke to Maxine. She's brought me to Rick here, and I am really excited about this part because this is what unity is. This is nothing. We have a simple policy with what we do. We are not bothered what color you are, your creed, your religion, your title. We're not even bothered what sex you are. You could call yourself a Christmas tree, as far as I'm concerned. But as far as I am, if you're a good person, you need help and support, your voice needs to be heard, I will speak up. If you're a predator, well, good luck. If you come on my list, you're getting exposed. Very simple. And this is the mentality we have, the same mentality I teach every single person around me. And we got a mixed race of everybody working with us, all religions, atheists, because we're not bothered because overall, none of that matters right now. What matters is our children, a child. I mean, this is what really shook me the worst because in England, once upon a time, if we just heard about a child being mistreated and abused, not even in England, on another continent, we would rise up together. And yet today, it's happening in every town and city. And I mean every town and city. Once upon a time, and I'll finish with this, once upon a time, you might have been able to say to me, where's this happening, Rangy? And I would have said, in Middlesbrough, in Stockton-on-Tees, in Thornaby, in Hartlepool, Redcar, Durham, something like that. Now it's easy for me to say to anybody now, where is it not happening? Because that's how bad it is happening. I mean, I've got a mapping system on the website that I have been putting together, which is 3 years behind updating. But also on that mapping system, I've also been mapping all the victims from France, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Austria, Australia, Canada, America. It's a pandemic. It's everywhere. So this is where we are today. I will not retreat. I will not surrender, even though for 24 months I've been getting death threats again and again and again. People talking about shooting me, talking about strangling me, calling me a pedophile, calling me a grooming gang. But I've got to keep ignoring it. I call the police. I tell them about it. And I have all this evidence, by the way. I've been recorded all the calls to the police over 90 times. And they're calling it freedom of speech, simply because I'm exposing social services scandal. So this is where we are today. Rick?
Yes, Sister Nya, I believe, had a question first, and then I have some things to say, if you wish, Sister.
Oh, yes, maybe my head was not visible with the whales there. Just a question, you mentioned Austria. So how was your travel in Austria? Because Rick and I, we have also worked on many cases in Austria and tried to rally the people and also for them to stand up, but also to speak the truth. We got some, but it's, I have to be honest, it was quite difficult as well. As I also have mentioned before, I also knew people who are working on this, to expose it, since years in Austria, which has the same, result and evidence you have shown as well. So just out of curiosity, how was it in Austria? With whom did you connect? Because I have also started to connect with different kind of organizations and people in Austria. So just to let me know. Thank you.
Yeah, so with Austria, when I actually landed there, and I was there for maybe 8 hours, uh, I had a number of parents reaching out, but it was the same feeling I got where they're nervous to speak up because they fear that somebody's going to say something or bully them, intimidate them, blackmail them. And it was the case and this is one of the main reasons I want to come back to Europe, because what they can't do, I can. Because I think the public need to know that we can speak up, we can break silence, we're speaking the truth by showing the evidence, which will encourage the ones that are silent at the moment, a bit like I've just mentioned about Ireland. Same thing is about Austria and Sweden and Denmark, same thing. So I'm taking responsibility to get there, and that's why I'm trying to raise the funds, because I'm trying to get a caravan, but stick it up with a studio built in. So while I'm on the road, it'll be on the road show, but I'll be there for 3 months overall. But yet they are coming forward, but they are nervous. And what I'm also looking for is, if I had somebody from Austria, for example, or France, or Germany, or Sweden, doesn't matter. As long as I've got one person from every one of these areas or these countries, it'll be easier for me, because when they reach out, I could transfer that case and information to the local country. Because at the same time, I'm also bringing LCS news desk and podcast studio in every country in Europe, because it's the only way I see it, because this is where I belong, fighting back, and I want to continue fighting back, and I don't want to hold it back from that point. Rick, we come to you now. I
Oh,
hope that answers the
here we
question.
go. Here we go. I wish to read something off about gathering the people, brother. You may already know about this, but we wish to also share with the audience. Um, so I'll read it off. On December 13th, 2025, tens of thousands of people gathered in Budapest, Hungary, in a mass protest sparked by a major child abuse scandal inside state-run juvenile institutions. The demonstrations were triggered by the release of video footage showing staff physically abusing children in a correctional facility, alongside allegations that the former director was involved in serious crimes, including sexual abuse, prostitution networks, and trafficking related activities. Protesters marched through the capital, Budapest of Hungary, demanding government accountability and resignation, accusing authorities of failing to act despite reports of abuse over several years. The case identified multiple child victims, at least 15, and led to arrests, institutional closures, and heightened police oversight, with the protest reflecting widespread public outrage over the treatment of children within state-controlled care systems. Now, I wanted to read that off because that is a powerful, amazing number. Tens of thousands of people gathered. And this is what we're doing, and it's for the similar and the same cause. But we see the same perpetrators. It's the governments and those connections. So also with this, I have some more things I'll say later, but I'll stop sharing that. I have some things prepared. But what I'll say in the UK, what was very interesting that we came across with Sister Nya and I doing our investigative journalist and foundationing all of our allegations that we would make out public because they are founded allegations. They are not unfounded allegations and accusations. They are fully substantiated. Part of doing our research, if you will, into this is that in 2024, I think that is the correct year, or it might be 2023, in the UK alone, 83,000 children vanished in that 1 year in the UK. Now, what we're looking at here also in 2024, the reason that we found this in the UK was in Austria, over 20,000 children over a 2 or 3 year period were coming into Austria, applying for asylum. These were refugee children. Then they would vanish. And the last ones to see them, three of the institutions, if you will, were child services, NGOs, which are funded perhaps 85% by the government of Austria, and the Society of Jesus, which is actually the Jesuits. So what I did is I sent out some emails requesting information. No reply to it because the children were last seen. They were some of the last to see these children, and they must have had some information, but there was nothing. So, what this begins to show is what we were actually on and what we're uncovering is the child trafficking rings and much more with all of these sick crimes that you are saying. But getting back to it, yes, the people are rallying, they're getting together in numbers, and it's very important that everyone that is doing this be a part of divine-gpms.world for the simple reason we have all of the provisioning laws and mechanisms to we don't need to tear down the system. What we do is by uniting worldwide, and by default, everything falls. But of course, there is this process in between of informing the people. But the bigger the groups become, with everyone worldwide connected with this, it cannot be any longer ignored. And then there is the justice as well. So it is inevitable. How quick we get there, it depends on the people and everyone spreading divine GPMS, because this is a universal nation. It is unprecedented. It is all your unalienable rights. All high law that cannot be taken away from you, plus the new monetary system that goes along with that. So divine GPMS is true, full, absolute sovereignty. So it's above anything that you thought was a sovereign group existing in this old world. No, it's the whole new world. And with this great unity and bringing everyone together, um, we are doing it, and it is so great. And just one more moment. We had Bandy Lee on about several months ago, and I'll just read that. I have it prepared here. So Bandy X Lee is a US-based forensic psychiatrist and former Yale faculty member who has become known for publicly applying psychological analysis to political leadership and societal risk. Alongside this, she has spoken critically about systemic failures in areas such as family courts and child protection, including concerns raised by advocates about harm and lack of accountability within those systems. In her most recent public activity, her focus has shifted more directly towards civic mobilization, which means gathering the groups, if you will, the same thing we're speaking about here, what you are doing, Brother Rangy, and what Sister Nya and I am doing, and what occurred in Hungary, and where she is encouraging public awareness and organized protest in the United States, framing her work around the idea that psychological and institutional instability requires active collective response from the population. And so Bandy is over in the US rallying the people, if you will, and informing them, the same as we are, but we are becoming even more connected as a unified voice worldwide. So even though, let's say, it looks like we're in the beginning of the people uniting doing this, it can happen, very quickly worldwide. But the main thing is it's begun. And it's no going back, because all of these ones you have gathered together already, they were all victims of this system. And this is incredible, extensive evidence, and it cannot be ignored. So what this shows is that the system, justice is coming, and it will be served, and we're not too far from it. It's no way that, let's say in Austria, I don't know how many's in the government there, but let's say if it's a few thousand, it's no way, when you look in Austria at the amount of parents that were abused, it's no way that a government can exist with everything that it has done. And likewise, it's more extensive, perhaps to our knowledge, what you're saying in the UK. These things cannot be concealed any longer. The people are standing up. So it's inevitable that it does happen, and that, it's not. I need to make this very clear with divinegpms.world. We don't apply justice to them. Our focus is on saving the families and all the children. Their justice is served divinely, or whatever it may be, all of these that inflicted this great harm. But our focus is on freeing all of the children that are in captivity. And what I wish to say with Sister Nya's children, because of all of the lawful circumstance, they are actually hostages. The Republic of Austria has them as hostage. This is a very serious crime, even though her children are with the alleged father. Everything was fabricated and brought so that they took the children. It was intentional, it was deliberate. And this is part of the reasoning why they are ignoring all of the law, because they have no choice. But ultimately, they're being exposed. And we need all of the people in Austria and worldwide to begin to stand up. As Brother Rangy's showing, he's gathering the people. We are gathering the people. Now we are together with Brother Rangy, and what we have begun to do in Hungary, Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, as well as connecting with the US. So it's coming together, people. So if you were one that was afraid and silent because you were intimidated by the system, like Rangy and most were, and the intimidation occurs on many levels. And Sister Nya has been intimidated and abused as well. And but needing to say this, hey, come together. It's time. Enough is enough. And we're stopping all of this. And the only way to do it is the people to gather together. Thank you. That was a long-winded spiel.
I
I
think
gotta stop and do some breathing to catch up.
no, I think you hit the nail on the head. The only thing I think I'll add on is, when you mentioned child trafficking, because a lot of people have got used to watching Hollywood and Bollywood. They need to start waking up now, because child trafficking is the real thing. And in this layman language, is very simple. When the authorities manufacture documents, manufacture concerns, manufacture crimes, present false information to the courts in order to steal your children, that's the beginning of child trafficking. And we have children. I'm actually dealing with a case tomorrow on a radio station where children are being raped in the system. There are more rapes, physical, emotional. In UK, for example, we have 80% of all children in the care system go through minimum emotional abuse up to sexual abuse. And they call this safeguarding. They call this child protection. I don't think they know what they're talking about. But we need to get out of this Hollywood, Bollywood mentality into that fictional. This is the real world we live in. And I always tell anybody, would you like to know more? Would you like any clarity? Would you like the evidence? And then talk. Don't be prejudging this. You don't need to. Skeptical is okay. I mean, I consider people who are skeptical is healthy, but there's a fine line between being skeptical and being stupid. You understand? We haven't got time for that, because every day, just in UK, there's number of rapes every single day, looking at 10,000 plus. The last time I was speaking to a campaigner who just deals with male victims, you're looking at over 100,000 male children a year get raped, and nobody's talking about it. They don't want to acknowledge it. If you didn't know, there's stories that are coming out that have been out, but they get covered up. So, for example, in Ireland, they found uh, nearly 800 children's corpses in a septic tank, and this place was run by a bunch of nuns. Now, this is nothing about religion, but you got to ask yourself, where did they get the children from? The answer is social services. So they were taken there once they've done what they wanted to do, they murdered them, and then just put them in a septic tank as if nobody's going to know about it. No, this is the real thing, and I am really pleased that we got Divine.GPMS World, who is dealing with that side of it. That is a big burden of my mind, because I want to start linking everybody up with you, with what you're doing. When it comes to the fighting, I normally tell people, leave that to me, because I am already in that field. I feel comfortable in that field, and I like exposing these filthy creatures in broad daylight, because they commit child cruelty in broad daylight. So they could do that wrong. I'm surely I could do the right thing in broad daylight as well. And this is why I'm looking forward to coming back over to Europe. But this time I will be making it public before I even set off. And one of the things I realized, I'm happy to do lectures, to do talks openly, transparently, and show everybody live evidence. I could do it on cases as long as we do safeguarding child protection. If not, I have enough of what I have to present, because it's the same narratives, the same system, the same the way they entrap the members of the public. And they need to know it is game over. And lastly, I'm going to say the world is waking up. The only thing we need to do now is come together. If we believe in our mind there's some differences, throw them to the gutters. There's no differences. We all love our children. We all love our daughters, our sisters, our mothers, our wives, our grandmothers. And if we cannot stand up and protect them today, then don't call yourself part of the human race, and particularly men in England. I have seen more women fight this fight than brothers and men. And it's disturbing. But right now, we are working on it. We are starting getting, but it's not 5 or 10 at a time. We're bringing in thousands at a time now. Literally every single time it's come forward, we're bringing in thousands. We already have millions of people awake. It's just a case of connecting. Once we connect, we can act. But at the same time, I want everybody in the UK, Wales, Scotland, Ireland to connect with obviously what you're doing with Divine GPS. You got my full support on that because we got to do it collectively. You do that side of it, and I could do what I need to do of it because I can't do both. It's overwhelming on both, particularly like a sister, what she's gone through, what I've gone through. Not many people are strong. And our suicide rate is like a genocide in England. We lose 5,000 fathers on an average a year. And we have mothers that we lose a year. I mean, one of the worst stories I've seen was a young mother. She was pregnant. The social workers were threatening her, intimidating her. We're going to steal your child. She was so overwhelmed, she committed suicide while the baby was still inside. That was somebody's daughters, for the love of God. Somebody's sister. And if we cannot fight for them today, and this is message for the men, then why are you calling yourself a man for? We're a nation that men stand at the front in a battle, in a war. This is a war against our vulnerable, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters. And if we can't stand at the front to protect them, instead we're pushing them at the front, then you just figure that one out, where they fit in. But, you know, I'm really looking forward to doing a lot of work with Divine. But I will be promoting that. And once I got my next vehicle, I'm going to have your banner, your sticker on my van. So everybody knows there, that's the solution there. You want to expose, you want to tell your stories, well, then you just come to me. I'll expose our story. I've got no issues. Besides, everything like with Europe now, we've got our own journalists, we're building up. Anybody that wants to get involved as being a journalist, they want to take access to the website and do all that side of it, I'm happy because I didn't build it for me, myself, and I. I built it because it's something that the public need. And the only thing I can tell you is it will never be sold. It will always belong to the public, in the public's control. So that's what I'm going to say on that. Sorry. Sorry, Rick, I get excited. I get excited myself.
You're like me. I had to stop and do some breathing exercises. You know, we get very passionate about this, and rightfully and justly so. We're doing it and getting this done, and it's time for the people to rally. Also, I wish to say with Sister Nya's case, again, what we have notified not only all of the press inside of Austria, TV and newspaper, also international medias and also investigative journalists and what have you. And what we have is an incontestable, fully documented case, concrete, if you will, and we have it publicly online on our public law website, which is connected to Divine GPMS, so ones can go there. And, it is absolutely obvious that the press is controlled the way that you said, because they're silenced. The press is threatened or the press is a part of it. Either way, there is no justification for press not to carry, especially Sister Nya's story, but all of these other stories. And that is why we are forced, if you will, to do it in our own way, because the press is part of the problem as well, and they're controlled by the problem. Now, with in Austria, but not only Austria, it's worldwide. Ones need to understand that the government is incentivizing all of this with money. For example, in Austria, I believe the government spends what's on paper anywhere between 75,000 euro a year to about 200,000 euros a year on a disabled child if they take it, if they take the child. But what's more important, you see this great incentive that the government is putting on with child workers as well. The more children they can take, the more money that they get. And it's also obvious that there is a black market involved here. I mean, how would you have anyone with a soul lying to steal children? It tells you, you know, that there is something very lucrative. And this is the business. And with the US worldwide, they fully fund the CPS, Child Protection Services, as well, which is taking children. And I believe one report there were 400,000 children, I think, went missing. Don't quote me on this if it was in a year or a few years in the US from child protective service placement of children. So you begin to see how the government is fully incentivizing it on paper, but there is also the black market and money that is also involved. And what it's doing, it's putting a price tag on every child's head of ridiculous amounts of money. So at least on paper, we can see a government will provide 75,000 euro for children. But here is where it also becomes interesting, is that these children, a lot of the times, the excuses for taking them is because the family is in poverty and cannot provide for them. Yet, you'll see a government spend 70,000 euros when it could have given this family 10,000 euros and saved their taxpayers 60,000. So you see how nonsensical and absolutely not professional, but it's not professional to the extent that it's intentional what they are doing. It's not about childcare. It's about getting the children, and this is the crime that they do with it. What GPMS does, and everyone needs to know this, GPMS eliminates all of the incentive for anyone taking children, child services trying to take them, and even child trafficking. Because the universal nation of GPMS, once we have it with the majority ratified, what occurs? There becomes no reason to harm children or to take them because there is no profit. With the universal nation and replacement system of GPMS, every individual activates their own comfortable money. And it goes even beyond that. Everyone is in a place of absolute abundance and absolute independence and freedom because they are generating their own value and contributing that outward. So it's a different system, but everyone needs to understand it's for all of the people, and it's the most unprecedented gift you ever could receive. You're winning the lifetime lottery, if you will, and all of your freedom to travel anywhere on earth and beyond if you wish. So, and all you need to do is to take, oh, and I got to include this. I used to say it takes 2 to 3 minutes just to add your consent, your accord, to add your ratification. But I was reminded, if it works, Sister Nya, that with autofill, you could probably do it in 2 seconds, so it's much quicker. But I haven't fully validated that yet. I believe Sister Nya would know. She's more technically inclined than I. But again, the point is, and this is very important, what I'm going to say. If you're watching this and let's say you are currently a model family that's you just happen to see this, that you have a good family, your children are good, there's love, you are a concrete family. What I need to say, don't think that your children are not at incredible risk even at this time. And what I will say, if they are not vaccinated, they are at a much bigger risk because of what's currently playing out worldwide. And what I say to everyone, if you're not a victim of abuse or your children not a victim of abuse, you still got to stand up because every child worldwide, as long as the system is in place, is in increasing danger because there are less and less children being born as the mortality rate of children also raises. And what this does, it puts a bigger price tag on your child's head. And this is why you're seeing the desperation with child services. They're that desperate that they're making up lies, they're fabricating things. They're that desperate that they're breaking all of the system's own laws and they don't care because they want the children. And what they do know in Austria, the ones that are breaking their own laws, they are part of it. They are complicit in it. That's why you don't see any enforcement because it's all corrupt, the entire thing. So everyone worldwide, you got to get together. Yes, you do. I'm saying you have to be a part of Divine GPMS. Get your vote in there because once you have the majority, you have this new system that protects every child, woman, and man on earth and also places you in absolute abundance and in a place you never need to worry or fear about anything else again. So it's very important to know this without I giving a huge spiel on it. But everyone needs to know the risk is increasing on children as long as this capitalistic system and network of government stays intact. Thank you. Go ahead, brother Rangy. And sister, yeah, chime in anytime you wish.
Yeah, I'm just gonna add one, well, two small things. You said about the money incentive, so I want to confirm how real this is. In United Kingdom, I'll only talk about one incentive. There's a number of incentives. So there's an incentive, what's known as the adoption bonuses. Okay, and this is all on public record, by the way. I can share this information if anybody wants it. So I'll give you an example of what a child is worth. So rightly what Rick said, it's a target they've got to hit. And this is actually in their schedule. They've got to hit a certain target. If they get that target, then they get what's known as a bonus. They are doing business. These are business words, doing business, incentivized. So let me go straight into the bonus. A bonus for one child to be going into the adoption, which is shared, that bonus between the social worker and the local authority. For one child, it ranges between 37 and 50,000 pounds. And this is just a one-off adoption bonus. 2 children, it goes up, 3 goes up to 4 children from one household. The value is between 80 and over 100,000 pound, just a one-off bonus. 5 children, it tells you on the document that it's negotiable on an annual going basis. So this is just the adoption bonuses. The last time when I actually stripped down one city, it works out one child, whilst just in their care, is worth to the council 1.3 million per child. And 100% what Rick's mentioned about the welfare, if the public struggling, they need some food, instead of giving them a little bit, they're using that as an excuse to get the children. This is nothing to do with the welfare of the public at all now. This is purely to do with child trafficking. The other bit that I just want to quickly ask, when the children are in the system, a lot of people have got ideas that they're trying to tell everybody that, you know, when there's a genuine issue, social workers have them, there must be some positives out of it. Well, I'll give you the answer for the positives. A child coming out the system in the United Kingdom today is kicked on the streets. I've learned from a case I was dealing with from the 70s. So the child was 6 or 7-year-old, taken away from a mother and father, put into the system, a young boy, and he stayed in the system, being obviously going through emotional abuse and God knows what else. However, 18-year-old, what happens? They kick him out into the streets. Who picks him up? The mother and father and the friends, they all come together, they lift him up, bring him home, sort him out. And later, at the age of, I believe he was 26, he was successful in what he was doing. He was a builder. He meets a lovely girl, he settles down, and he has a baby. He has a baby girl. The social workers then went into his home and said, because you've been in the child protection system, we don't feel that you're fit enough to have this child, so they stole his daughter. So then his daughter is now in the system. The grandparents are suffering, the mother and father are suffering, and the child is obviously being abused. The girl later, 18-year-old, gets what? Kicked out onto the streets. They kicked out on the streets. Who picks them up? The mother, the father, the grandparents. What happens? They lift them up, get them sorted. Once later in life, and I believe she was 24, when she met somebody nice, she settled down and she had a child. The social workers went in and said, because you've been in the care system, we don't think you're fit enough to have this child. So they take their child. So the question for all these authority members, what is the purpose of any child being in your care apart from repeat order business of child trafficking? There is none. So I want to make it clear these things are happening. You know what I mean? And if anybody wants evidence of these things, please come forward. I hope that helps you, Rick, because these really trouble me, because I see mothers and fathers repeatedly again and again and again. I've got women, another example I will give you, women that go through domestic violence. This is a genuine thing where women do go through domestic violence. Not fully, because there's two sides to this, but the genuine ones that do go through domestic violence, when they tell the social workers and they do the right thing, they flee the predator that they've gone through the domestic violence from. The social workers will then use it against them and say, because you were in that relationship, we believe in their brain somewhere, we believe that you called emotional abuse, you've gone through domestic violence, we're taking your children. Instead of crediting her for doing the right thing to get away from that circumstances, they are persecuted. As a result of that, now in the United Kingdom, we have thousands of mothers who would rather take a beating than to report a crime. I mean, I wish God give me more strength, because every one of these mothers should be protected. And some of these are now grandmothers because they've got nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and no point them ringing the police up or social services, because they're vultures. They just want to steal, 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 and there's no benefits from that. And this is something extremely dangerous, okay? That's put these vulnerable women now in more of a risk, and for them to actually accept the idea of being abused for the rest of their life, just to sacrifice themselves for their children so they're not to be abused by the system, it breaks my heart. And this is why, another reason, and all these reasons tally up to the reason why we will not retreat, we will not surrender, and we will stand and fight against anybody who gets in our way. Simple. I hope that helps, Rick. I just wanted to add them on.
Yeah, thank you, brother. It's sick and it's psychotic, you know what they're doing, and they are the true definition of a cult, if you will. And you know, I've said these, I say everything public, and I wish for everyone to know you are allowed, yes, to say anything public. And if you're writing posts or if you're speaking public, you can put on the bottom of your post, in my opinion, because everyone's entitled to their opinion and it cannot be used against you. Everyone has the right of their beliefs. And, what we've seen in Sister Nya's case, a violation of beliefs as well. And what I need to say, we've been testing, we knew we wouldn't get any support from, let's say, uh, the European Human Commission of Rights or the World Court. But it's not about that. It's about showing the trail where the documents were sent to them and no response. And what we see with the European Commission, we see the Secretariat General, if you will, mentioned in the Epstein cases. No wonder you're not receiving any replies because look who was, running it, this sick child trafficking that is worldwide in the governments. And the ones that are supposed to be trusted authorities are the actual criminals. And this is what's being exposed worldwide. Um, and, I mentioned was going to say another important point here with the Sister Nya is Sister Nya here is the most amazing mom, and she's above, the normal parenting. There's been even parents over the time that has come to Nya and say, "Wow, you're doing an amazing job with your children. May you assist us." To how are you doing this amazing job? And I need to bring this up because what the in her case, the psychological evaluator and judge in Austria, the way it was, is saying, she's not able to do this. She cannot look after the children. So they attacked her credibility, but also with slap lawsuit, or no, not, they did not, they attempted a slap, but it didn't work on them because we have the lawful defenses. So what actually occurred in the beginning with Sister Nya, the system knew that it's up against absolute law and it cannot win with that. So its only option was to ignore the things, right? Because it is absolute law. So they use, yes, psychiatric pseudosciences uh, against the mothers mostly in Austria, and yes, dads as well. But it's and this is the thing to bring moms and dads together because you said it so great too. It's from both sides. But again, what causes this is the stress of the system itself. And that's also when we change this system, because a man or a woman is not stressed, they come together for the right reasons, then there is no conflict and the family unit is back together. When you look what has been occurring, let's say over the last 5 or 6 years and increasing, with great inflation, ones are needing to work more and more to survive, which is putting great stress upon them. And when they are at home with their families, you're going to have flare ups. So, what GPMS does is you only need to work a fraction of an hour of hours to contribute to the worldwide community. So let's say where you had to work 40 hours a week, in the beginning, you may only need to work 10 hours a week just to contribute to the worldwide community. But what this does, it brings the whole family back together because even the children are paid their own money. It takes the complete stress off and it creates a harmonious family the way that it should be. And this is what's occurring. Humanity currently is savage. So we are civilizing humanity by giving them the full instrument replacement system to do it. And yes, these ones in governments and child services, they are dark. They have no compassion because they're not human souls. And I need to say this because any human soul would not harm a child. This is sick. So there is something mentally wrong with them in the least, but it goes deeper because you see it's very intentional. So, Sister Nya, do you wish to say anything here?
Oh, first of all, I'm so impressed by both of you, and I'm so touched, I'm going through emotional experiences as well because, you covered almost everything so perfectly. But what touches I so deeply is, seeing masculine stepping up, being so supportive, but also passionate and compassion. And I also remember, how it is, to went through that process, right? Trying again and again and to gather people. So, I'm so grateful. I just was like, oh wow, I could just, sit in a safe space and somehow just lean a little bit, backwards without, fighting and doing. But also at the same time, the only thing, that I want to say about it, because you covered up amazingly everything, right? And everything you have said, Rangi, I have seen exactly the same here in Austria with all the evidence, with everyone that I have spoken, and how deep and how rotten it is. But also, what most of the people don't see, to bring it, into short terms, this is slavery, genocide, and torturing, right? And the most of the people don't see that. And, children are treated so badly, more badly than the baddest, criminal, and also the parents as well. And this has to stop. And Divine GPMS, gives children also the voice because they have a voice, they have rights as well. So as also, the parents. So I just want to add that I'm still very impressed, very touched about everything. So, yes, and I also don't have much words, so please forgive. I didn't have prepared much, but, listening to you both, you covered up. You literally covered up everything. And, it also touched me so deeply, what you have mentioned, because it's exactly, what I've gone through, right? By doing the right thing, you get punished, and the victim perpetrator gets turned off and you are the perpetrator, which doesn't make any sense. And they filed something like an anti-statement movement against the stalking of the authorities and so much more. But I also went to some protests and met other parents and grandmothers as well, and they are so amazing and so strong, and they did exactly what you said. They just did the right thing and just reported the abuse. But what then happened? They took away the children from them, and this is wrong, because I have to say, the system honestly is not made, for humanity. It's just, it's indoctrinating people to not stand up, to not speak the truth, to allow bad things to happen. And this is wrong, right? And we need to stand up and we need to change this. We need to speak up as well, because if we don't do that, we would allow this to happen, right? And I'm very impressed for for your power and for your endurance, over the years. Yes, thank you so much, but also Rick, for everything he's bringing up. I don't have any words right now, so I give back to you. Thank you so much.
No, sister, thank you very much. These people, I mean, I'm going to put what Rick mentioned, mental health issues. If you ever work with these people, it's easy to actually understand in your mind that you're working with people with mental health issues, because this is exactly what they are. Whether we call them liars, criminals, or storytellers, you got to have some mental health issues. It's like a pedophile. They say he's got mental health issues. yeah, this corporate companies, this system is a mental health issue. You see, you got psychopaths working in there, power tripping, narcissistic, thinking that they could just manufacture, do what they want, steal your children. And if you speak up against them, like you mentioned about grandmothers, then they'll target their children. I've seen so many social workers who reported these crimes, and when they didn't, if they weren't happy with just being sacked, removed, or sent on the sick, and they continued to speak, their final desperation was, let's get their children. Is the that this is what they do. This is a system that preys on children. I mean, that's for social services with mental health issues. But in England, I'm not sure how bad it is in Europe. We have an educational problem as well. So in our education, they're teaching our children at the age of 4 years old about anal sex, masturbation. What on earth is this? This is a pedophilia idea to be teaching our children. And the latest right now they're trying to pass is they're trying to tell the whole world in England that our children are sexually active from birth. So this is a big issue because in reality, I mean, I just say it as it is, our country is run by a bunch of nonsense. You know, when we talk about Epstein's, yeah, we're not part of the Epsteins, but our leadership is part of the Epsteins. You've heard about the Epstein Island, but you forgot about England, which is a whole landmass where these pedophilias are preying on our children. How do they get our children? Through social services. So we could go to Jimmy Savile. He was responsible for 500 babies of somebody's baby boys and baby girls. How did he get his hands on these people, or these children? Through social services. They get the children, they put them in centers, and then they open the back doors and let these predators in to feed the wicked of these people. And it's about time people woke up and you have to. There's no trying now. Either we fight back and we win. Well, actually, there is no losing because we have to. Because we are fighting for the future of our children and our grandchildren. There's no uts and buts. I mean, yeah, people say that it's the devil's system. Well, if the devil's so strong, where is he? When real people talk up, like yourself, my sister, like Rick, like myself, what happens? I'll tell you what happens. They all go on the sick. They all resign. They all run like the puppets they are. It's a fictional world that they're running on, not the real lifetime world. This is a big problem. So these things are very, very important because, you know, when they start teaching this pedophilia idea to our children, a lot of people didn't get it. So let me explain to you. They're teaching this to children because a time they're looking to have is when they start to increase this productive line of theirs, raping children, or they're going to have to tell the police or whatever, oh no, the children are only uttering what we've taught them at school. You see, this is how they're going to try to get away with it. But we know this, you see, and we are working in England. There's a whole load of groups that are taking it to European courts and the Parliament. But for me, the whole Parliament is in a mess. How can we have a system designed where they allow physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, sexual abuse, predators, but the parents and the children are going to go through a complaint procedure? That's a nonsense of a system. That's not even law. That's just corruption. And there's no more working with corruption. It's about time we took the snake's head off, and everyone that pops up, we'll have to just take them out. And, you know, I'm not going to incite violence. I don't do this, but I'm more than happy to expose every single one of them. And with you mentioned Austria, I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm just raising some funds because I don't have no funding. I don't get no funding from the public or anything. I raise it myself. Every penny I've had, even the clothes on my back, I've literally sold everything I have just to do this campaign. Because what is money? Money will come and go. And how am I supposed to put a value on a child today? And now it's not just one child, it's a nation. It's a nation of millions of children that are in the firing line. That's just in England, Wales, Ireland, and Scotland. Yet globally, I mentioned over 8 million children disappear. I mean, it gets worse. In America, there are a number of states that legalize child marriages. Where, what on earth are they doing? What happened to that democracy? What happened to children? They're exploiting children in America. And this, the other woman that you mentioned, we need to help and support each one of them. I mean, if I could afford it, I will go to America, because what they need is a campaign on the road. You understand? Town by town, city by city, because once you start doing that, the ones that don't have a voice, they will also stand up. You understand? For support. We shouldn't be putting anybody at risk. We don't put them in the firing line. But at least when they're aware, they need to protect themselves. How do they protect themselves? Document everything, record everything, audio, video. And this is all legal and above board in every country. Record everything. You have a meeting with them, even though you have a professional or an advocate that could come with you, still document it and record it. Because these people we cannot trust. Because what will happen, which evidence that we have, is they'll lie, they'll commit perjury on children deliberately. You'll have one conversation with a social worker, they'll report a third conversation that never took place. This is why we say they're liars, criminals, and storytellers. And you know, before in the storytelling, I used to have a banner. They tell storytellers about thriller, drama, action, and deluded ones. And I used to mock them, and I still mock them, that these people are actually in the wrong field. They should be really working for Hollywood and Bollywood, not in social services, because they make up things for a living. It's unbelievable. But what they're doing is what they're doing, and they have mental health issues, and I am only focused on exposing and saving our children. I don't care about nothing else anymore. There's nothing else to care about. Because if there's no future for our children tomorrow, what are we here for? And we've got to fight today to give them a better future. And also, there's a generation indoctrination that's been happening. We, in general, are the last generation with our critical mind thinking. And if we don't stand up today, our next generation won't know how to fight back. And this is why it's so important that we stand up, we raise our voice as going along, we get them to understand, they learn about it and join. Because, you know, we're not going to live forever. I'm not going to live forever. You know, with everything's going on, with the threats, anything could happen. But does it scare me? No, because I've got to answer to him who says, when my time comes, I'm going to have to answer to God. What am I going to say? That I knew about it, didn't do about it? No, I'm going to at least be able to say, well, I don't need to. He knows everything. I don't want to be stood in front of the Almighty when my time comes, that I knew about it, that I didn't do nothing about it. And I hope people pay attention to just me saying that, because everybody's held accountable for their own actions. And it's about time. It doesn't matter who anybody is, whether what color, creed, religion, background. If we cannot be part of the human race to defend the most vulnerable in our society, stop the thing called rapes taking place, then we're not really part of the human society, are we? Then we're part of the evil problem. So, you know, I'm just hoping people pay attention to everything that's been said here. Particularly, I want to bring you back to what Rick was been talking about divine, .gpms, .world. This is something that I do believe that will be a unit of people connected on one platform. Front and back is separate. Don't get confused with it. Keep these separate, come together. I mean, I expect by the end of this year, we should be hitting 5, 10 million, if not into maybe the billion, because this is how passionate I am. This is how much I believe I love my own daughter, my sister, my mother, my grandmother. And that goes for everybody else's. And if we all had that thought in our mind, we should be united. I mean, I only met him once, and he reverted me to the light on this side of it. And I'm connected. I'm excited. I want to make a mess of these kiddie fiddlers. But I want to bring everybody to this side of the light so we can start connecting and be part. And the good thing on this Divine GPLS that I'm seeing is everybody's equal. Nobody's king dingling. You know what I mean? Nobody's the boss. Everybody's equal. My God, how beautiful is that? Absolutely amazing. That really touched me when Rick brought this to my attention. We had a good chat, you know, and I love it. And yet today, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people, every day people are signing in to this, and I'm going to keep pushing it. I'm going to keep pushing it. I'm going to keep pushing it. But if all of us went like with that mentality, we'd have everything changed overnight. We'd have everything changed by the end of this year. We would have more than half of the population come together, united. And that's it, the system stops. And that just leaves one question. How much are people going to allow? How much sacrifice are they going to allow to happen before they wake up? The quicker they act today, the quicker we could save children tomorrow. That's it. It's all that matters. Otherwise, we're going to lose more. We're still going to change it eventually because good is going to prevail. But how much are we going to lose? And I'm not prepared to lose any daughter of somebody, sister, mother, boys, men. I'm not willing to because they're my community. You are my community. I mean, I treat him as a brother. I've got sister Nia here. I love her a bit. I learned a little bit about it only because Rick has been telling me about it. And you know, sister, you have my full support. And anything you want me to do, I am going to do it. I don't want to, I don't talk. I think you gather that. I don't like just talking. I want to action. And that's it, because that's how we get results. I hope that makes sense, Rick. Sorry about that. I got excited again.
Perfect, brother. I love it when I could sit back and I don't ramble. I can listen to someone else, but it's not rambling. It's all important information. Having said this, with any moms and dads that currently are beginning to, let's say, fight against the system, what we suggest is only confront it, because the system's designed to wear you out. Just confront it, but then importantly, we have our absolute law website, which has very important goodies on it, if you will. Let me find it. I did have, there it is. Um, Now, the first thing I need to share with everyone, what DivineGPMS.world has proclaimed and declared and provisioned worldwide. Understand that we have over 400,000 ratified members. This is the strongest universal jurisdiction in the entire world. It's even above the UN, without me explaining why. So it has the ultimate universal jurisdiction and voice. Now, with this, what we have proclaimed and put out to the public is that everyone does have a value which is priceless, it's unlimited. However, what we have done, we know that we have set a base limit value of every child, woman, and man at 500 billion euros or US dollars. This is substantial. This is every child, if your child was just born today, its least value of that child is 500 billion. And this is substantiated within law, as we have done. And I believe, Sister Nya, we had July 6th of 2025 was when we publicly proclaimed this. And what we're doing just today, we're putting out a standalone publication of that, retroactive back to July 6th, when we first of last year publicly announced it. Now, this is important. The way the world works, it may not recognize it yet. However, the more that join into GTMS and the quicker we get this voice here, what it does is set an important base value that is recognized by more and more. And what this also does, it dissolves the system, but it also begins to prevent harm on children, if you will, in the family. So everyone needs to know that this is an unprecedented, lawful, fully lawful proclamation, but it's more than that. It's a law that is being also ratified as we ratify GTMS forward. And without me getting into the particulars, but this is very important for ones, if you're beginning to go against the system as well. This is an important lawful document and attachment to have, because what you are also doing is you're setting up for any down the road compensatory packages when the system is proved wrong. And this is done lawfully, meaning that they have to pay for this. And this is an incredible amount of money. But let me just take this one step further. Because this is established, any children that, let's say, any children, woman, and man that was a civilian in this recent war, for every one of them is a $500 billion price tag that has to be paid by the country that attacked. So you need to know, as part of war, there is reparation that needs to be paid. But now there is a value actually placed, a minimum value on every human's life, which is 500 billion. So quickly, if you do some math, what this means is if the capitalistic system remains intact in the US, instead of a US per capita citizen owing 103 $1,000 US debt, it now rises to over 2 million each. In Israel, because they attacked, there was no threat upon them. With Israel, the number is much greater. It's 49 million at least US dollars for every Israeli citizen, with reparation for just the lives that were lost. So I needed to just add this bit in because this is substantial and ones need to know it. Now, also on our website, we got public actions there, but we also have templates, we have evidence, and we do have tools, I believe, on here, lawful tools for ones to use. And what I will say, with the European Commission of Human Rights that takes cases when you're violated or what have you, they have a backlog of about 13 years or more. So it's nonsense for anyone to try to seek assistance from them. Also, the World Court, to even get in there, they are backlogged. Perhaps now it was last year 6 to 8 years behind. And let's just say this is ridiculous to rely on any outside forces of international law, with the World Court, with The Hague, any human rights commission, as you're seeing with the European Commission. The Secretariat General was named and had to, I believe, resign because of the Epstein files, and more of that is coming. And it's been said when it all comes out that every government will most likely collapse because most of them are named in it. But there's so much more beyond the Epstein files. As you know, there are so many other criminals and actors as well, which are being identified and named by even other sources every day. So it's important to also know what we have on here. And let me just say what we recently put out to give to everyone that you can use if you're still going to court, and you can give this to your lawyer, to the judges. These are lawful statements that they cannot ignore, meaning that this puts everything in your favor. With number 65, for example, we have the four-pillar lawful packet. And what this is, it strips away any jurisdiction or authority of a judge, of any police, any child protection service, and also any family court, because the real truth is they do not have any jurisdiction. So what you need is the lawful substantiation of that, which we have on this website. And this is all absolute law that they cannot ignore. Yes, they can ignore it, but it's inevitable that justice will be served, because this is done this way to win everything for you and to begin to put up the block against the system until we get everyone united and that system is obliterated. It's gone. So these are very important tools to defend yourself and to put their legal system right on the spot, because see, it also uses their laws against them. And what it does, it incriminates them. So it puts them in the full incontestable criminal spot. And when I say incontestable, it means there does not need to be any trial or any court, because the evidence is incontestable. So then it means in their system, just a sentencing to a jail or whatever they do themselves. So you take out any need for a trial, because this evidence is incontestable when they try to break the laws with their family courts that has no lawful authority, it has no jurisdiction. But also the lawyers. The lawyers swear an oath that they must abide with the law. But where this is their law, the lawyers will become incriminated as well. So they may be doing it now, but what they're doing, lawyers, judges, family courts, child services, they are already incriminating themselves where they cannot get out of it. So justice is already occurring, and we're in this step. So the more that you apply these law packages that we have in this respect, you begin to melt down the system quicker, because the system, when it's corrupt, it cannot stand up against law. It has to fully corrode, to keep it simple. So we have this, and this is connected to our GPMS website as well. And we have tools, and Sister Nya, I believe they might be on our other page, our tools, or we don't perhaps have them all on there yet. But we've done extensive work. This is all fully founded in absolute law.
It's under the
So
templates section.
under
We have other
here.
lawful tools.
Oh, thank you so much. Ah, yes, here it is. Is it showing up on my screen where I changed, or do I got to change the screen?
Yes, it's visible on the screen.
Good. So it's rolling. Good. So the four-pillar lawful packet, what we have here, preserving the child's voice. So what you also can do with contract law, the most binding contract on earth is the contract between yourself, but also with the next of kin. And every child's voice, no matter how old they are, they can make a contract with the parent that they only ever want to be with the parent. And what this does, it excludes all parties, including child services, from entering that relation. So this is contract law. This is law. So you can do up contracts with your children, and I strongly advise that for everyone to do that to begin to secure your child's safety. And of course, you can go on here. We have we have lien packages, we have invoice, and this is all lawful. We have invoices that you can begin. See, your time is valuable, everyone's is. And if you are attacked, someone has to pay for your time. It's part of the reparation, if you will. It's part of the remedy. Your time has value. And if you're imposed to use your time, this means you are able to use the contract of invoices for your time against them. But in the beginning, with any action, it's important to know the lawful cease and desist orders. These are what should be placed against any child services first, telling them you are acting unlawfully and you must stop. And that is a lawful instrument once you place that cease and desist. And should they continue without any acknowledgement or any negotiation, then they are everything they do is criminal. And there has to be justice in the near future for that, because they cannot ignore this important lawful precedent. This is one of the first things that you do to protect yourself. Another thing that you do as well is take out a lien against yourself and have that registered in their system. I suggest taking out $1 trillion lien between you and yourself, meaning that no one can come in between that unless you say, because you are the full controller of that contract between yourself to protect yourself from anything that they'll try to take money from you. But if it's violated, it's another violation of law. So we have many lawful instruments that are there, and these are used. A lot of these, what we use is their own laws within the current system. Everything on earth is contract law. And these are instruments of contract law, liens that we have placed. This is commercial law and in finance. All of these things are fully founded. And I say this without any documentation from their system. I am an expert in laws and all law to that to that extent. And I don't say this to boast, but I need to say this truth because it is very real. And if any of you have any doubt with any of our instruments, you can take it and research it yourself and get it verified. And when you go to the right sources, you'll say, yes, it is. It really is, because it truthfully is. You know, the system pulled the wool over your eyes but what we're doing is no, using their laws against them. And if they don't abide by them, then there is no laws. So this means you can just go and get your children from wherever they're at, but you want to be equipped with these documents. Now, also in every country worldwide, democratic country, to my knowledge, it is provisioned the citizens' arrest, meaning what you also can do with big numbers and big groups is when you're equipped with incontestable evidence, and let's say you got a rogue child service actor, let's say it's a feminine that's been telling lies and you've got everything documented, incontestable evidence, you get a group, you go, you circle her without any violence, And what you do is you then have the media, call the media right there and call the police right there. And you have copies of this evidence that you give to the mainstream media, who, if they come, whatever media, and you also give it to the police because this is incontestable evidence. Then the police, if they don't arrest her, they are breaking the law in front of, you got 300, if you got 10,000, then the police are breaking the law within that as well. So just a few more things. We lost Sister Nya there for a moment, didn't we?
She'll be back.
Yeah. So, nevertheless, I didn't want to ramble on, but I wanted to get these important instruments in there to know that we're not flying by night on the seat of our pants. We have everything foundationed and everything ready, if you will. Ah, sister, where did you go? 12th dimension?
Oh, I actually don't know whose connection just were affected right now. I'm just checking my hand is still on. Oh, I did. Oh, is that my hand? No. All right. So,
So,
but you are still online, so this is great.
mhm, yeah. So I have said anything you wish to say now, Sister Nya or Brother Rangy? Anything else? And we've been on here several hours, I guess, but anything important that we didn't say yet?
I think we've said quite a bit. I just want people to, when we talk about divine GPMS, don't be skeptical. Have a read, look through it yourself. Don't hold back. That's how you're going to learn. If you want help and support in learning about it, because I know it could be overwhelming information. There is people within the team of Divine GPMS. I'm even joining the team. So if you ask the questions, what it is, where it is, there is help and support available. Okay. So I want people, because sometimes people see a website and think, oh my gosh, where do I look? Because they're not qualified or for whatever reasons. Just want people to know I'm no good with IT, but this is how you learn. But you don't need to do too much of a learning. You just need to contact the right people to get the information. And you've got this sister here. There's many others that I've actually already met. I'm really grateful for. I'm learning myself. And this is how you'll have to do it. I know there's other people that might be thinking, well, we want to fight back. Or expose inside of it. Well, these two are different things. And I'm more than happy to expose and fight back. As long as we've got evidence, information, we can fight back with that side of it. As long as we do our safeguarding and child protection, can't put anybody at risk. But just don't be overwhelmed thinking that there's too much to read. You don't need to. I will speak to Rick. Maybe we could have a regular meeting for the public members that they could ask the questions. We could show them where it is. And then as we're going along, we could probably release all that information. So then it's all documented for anybody. Maybe we do a topic by topic. Because, that some people do feel overwhelmed, but I just want people to know you're not alone. There is people there to help and support you, but this is the way we have to move forward. It's overwhelming. I understand that and I respect that. But if we've got to do it, this is the right way to do it instead of doing it the wrong way. That's the only thing I want to add. And it's been a pleasure meeting Sister Nia. I will be chatting with you again, maybe off here. But Rick, thank you very much for allowing me to come on here and trying to help and support and also let people know what we're going through, the members of public what they're going through. But remember, if we do not stand today, it just means that we're going to have more children that will be no longer with us. That child could be yours tomorrow. Okay? But thank you very much. Love and respect to both of you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you so much, brother. And I think it's every I believe it's every minute or something a child vanishes. It might be just in the US. I think it's several a minute worldwide, that just vanish. So yeah, every minute,
Yeah.
that we don't get this done, it's another child or two or four that vanishes because of the sick system and all of its attributes. So with that, love, light, and gratitude, everyone. And I'll stop the Facebook feed and